Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Annandale Still in Cask. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Annandale Still in Cask. Annandale is a lowland single malt Scotch whisky distillery and it was established in 1836. However, it was reborn in 2014 and has been going for the last 10 years. This particular whisky came to me as part of my cask share at Still in Cask and I purchased it back in March 2023. At that stage it was already 5 years old when it was added to the platform, and if you're unfamiliar with the way the platform works, I'll put a link in the description and you can check out my previous video. My cask share was £36.72 and that included the whisky and the platform fee. All that was left to pay once the whisky had matured was the duty, the VAT and the postage. This came to £30.82. This particular whisky is now 6 years old and it was bottled at 59.6% ABV. Should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whisky. So before I start nosing and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say it's like a pale gold. Obviously this is aged in ex-bourbon, it's non-chill filtered and natural colour, and yeah, it's quite light as you might expect. Let's start with a nose. Right, so the first thing I get with this is like orchard fruits. It really is nice and fresh and fruity. I'm getting some green apple skins. I'm getting some dry oak. There's some like vanilla sweetness. And I'm also getting like sweet pastries. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so this is very similar on the palate as it is to those, but obviously being cask strength, it really bursts with flavours on the palate. There's fresh green apples. There's some vanilla. There's a little bit of dry oak, and there's also some pepper as well, a little bit of heat. Obviously being a cask strength whisky, it can be a little overpowering for some on the palate, and obviously it really does activate those taste buds. Let's have another sip. Yeah, so I'm still getting lots of orchard fruits, lots of green apple. There's a hint of ethanol in there, and that might just be because of the ABV. But it really is quite hot. For my palate, indeed, this definitely drinks hotter than I'd like. But I have tried this with water and it does take water well. I think the sweet spot is around the sort of 48 to 50% ABV for me on this, but it's still very drinkable, neat. I just have to take it a little bit slower. Let's have one final sip. Yeah, I'm starting to get similar to sort of the pastries that I was getting on the nose. I'm starting to get more like apple pies and sort of warm sweet pastry. There's also a hint of like baking spices, a little bit of cinnamon, maybe a hint of nutmeg in there as well. Really is nice. In terms of finish, I'd say it's very long. There's that green apple, there's some vanilla, there's pepper, and there's also a little oak. But in terms of value, well, as I said, I got this as part of my Still in Cask cask share purchase. I think it's quite easy to buy whisky before it's aged because it comes across as a lot cheaper. Obviously I paid £36.72 sort of 18 months ago, and I think it's quite easy to forget how much more you'll pay once it's aged. But saying that, it was still what, 67.50, something like that, for a 6-year-old single cask strength non-chill filtered natural colour whisky from a distillery that is you know, practically 10 years old now, I think, you know, they know what they're doing by now. You know, they had several years before this cask was even, you know, put on the market. And I think it allows customers like me to try something new, try something different. Annandale is definitely a distillery I've not purchased from before. I've always seen their bottles as a little bit too expensive. They do peated and unpeated whiskey, but even though I've tried them and their whiskey is nice, I suppose the price put me off, and the fact that I could get this for less than, you know, one of their main releases, and I didn't have to pay for it all. You know, you pay a bit, you know, in advance, and then you pay when it's ready. I think it's a good way to support distilleries. It's a good way to get them, you know, get them some money in advance, because obviously that cask sits there for years and doesn't return them their investment until it's bottled. So I think it's good value. I also am aware that there's still some of these left, because not all of the cask shares were taken before it matured. So I'll also put a link to this particular cask share if you want to check it out and buy a bottle for yourself. But, you know, it was a great way for me to try something blind, you know, put my faith in the system. This is my first cask share that's matured on the platform, and yeah, I'm impressed. It's good whiskey, and the fact that it's a little bit hot for me means I can dilute it down, and the bottle will actually go a bit further. So I'm pleased with that as well. And yeah, I really can't wait for my next cask share to mature next year. If you tried cask share and have had a bottle, or maybe yours haven't yet matured, let me know in the comments. And if there's an Annandale that you've tried that maybe you think I should keep an eye out for, then also let me know in the comments and I'll check it out. Hopefully you found that interesting, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Stauncher.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.